Bayes' theorem is an equation that's used in probability. It helps us with predictions by updating our original prediction based on new information. So it helps us figure out how likely something is based on what we already know, and then factors in what we just learned. Let's go through a couple examples to see how this is used and how it can help you in sports betting. We won't be doing any math here, just going over how to think about things in a Bayesian way. Let's say there's a city, and in this city there are 15% Lyfts and 85% Ubers. We'll just jot that down to remember. We'll pretend there's no one that drives both Uber and Lyft for this example. One day there's an accident, and a witness says a Lyft was involved. You know that witnesses are correct about 80% of the time, so it was definitely either an Uber or a Lyft, but there's an 80% chance that they were correct about it being a Lyft. So let's jot that down too. The witness says 80% Lyft. So here's what we know to start out. Base rate of Lyfts is 15% of all rideshares in the city. A rideshare vehicle was involved in the crash, and the witness says the vehicle was a Lyft, and they're right about 80% of the time. And remember, how certain the witness is doesn't actually correlate with their accuracy much. So if they say, I'm 100% certain it was a Lyft, it doesn't end up mattering. They're right about 80% of the time. Okay, so Bayes' theorem accounts for two things to come up with your final guess. The first is that prior belief. Our prior belief here is that in accidents involving rideshare vehicles, about 15% of those will involve a Lyft. That's the base rate of Lyfts in this city. The second thing is your new evidence. The new evidence here is that a witness says they saw a Lyft involved in an accident. Now here's where we see something unexpected. Most people will say that there's an 80% chance this vehicle was a Lyft, but that's actually not true. You have to take the base rate of 15% into account. With Bayes' theorem, the probability of the car being a Lyft ends up being about 40%. That's a huge difference from 80%. So what Bayes' theorem does is help us avoid overreacting. It treats the base rate as heavy and hard to move. Then we have something pulling that heavy base rate in a certain direction. 80% from the witness is a lot different than 15% base rate, so it pulls that 15% all the way to 40. So we start with the base rate, gets pulled one way or the other. If we had 10 witnesses who all said the car was a Lyft, we have 10 times more new information. So that's going to pull that heavy 15% even closer to 80%. Now maybe it'll be something like 70% probability the car was a Lyft. Okay, one more example we'll talk through, but in sports this time. Every year, rookie quarterbacks come into the NFL. So how could we project their passer rating for the rookie season? We can use Bayes' theorem to come up with a base rate and then adjust that prior belief as the season moves on. Let's say the base rate for rookie quarterback passer rating is 80. We can find this number by doing some research into historical data. This isn't a perfect number, but that's what we'll use here. Let's say in his first game, his passer rating is 100. Pretty decent. But that isn't going to move that expectation of 80 very much. That is because 80 is very heavy. We have a lot of data from past quarterbacks to make that the average. If he has over 100 passer rating in his next 5 games, they'll move it some, but it's probably not going to move it all the way to 100 because 80 is so heavy in this case, and 6 games isn't that much of a sample. So our prior belief was a passer rating of 80, and that gets updated with every new piece of information we have. It gets updated after every game. Now, of course, that's not all there is to Bayes' theorem. There's a whole equation, and we can actually tweak how much we adjust our prior belief. And including Bayes' theorem into a model is a whole other task in itself. If you want to deep dive into real-world betting applications for this, check out Analytics 2 for a thorough look. Okay, let's recap. Bayes' theorem helps you make smarter guesses by combining what you already know with new information you get. It's like updating your guess using math in a way that doesn't overreact to the new information. We start with usually a heavy prior belief, and that gets pulled in the direction of the new information. This has a ton of applications, including sports betting. For now, that is everything you need to know about Bayesian thinking.